Welcome back to another episode of Bioenergetics Beat, the podcast where we explore the intersection of wellness technology and bioenergetics. My name is Miriam, and I am your guest host and team member here at We Are Nikki. Today's episode is brought to you by Nikki Wellness Technology. Nikki Wellness Technology puts frequency enhanced health in your hands. Let's welcome today's guest. Today, we welcome Dr. Lisa Palmer, a trailblazer in the world of quantum nutrition. Dr. Palmer's innovative approach combines cutting-edge science and holistic wellness, empowering individuals to unlock their full health potential through personalized nutrition strategies. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you. Welcome, Dr. Palmer.
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you for having me on the Bioenergetics Beat podcast.
I'm so excited to have you here. Could you share a little bit about yourself and your inspiring journey into the world of wellness and holistic health?
Wow. That's a loaded question. There's lots of parts to that, Miriam. I was like, okay.
Great. Right in, Dr. Palmer.
That's a lot of content there. I'll give you the abbreviated version. The reason why I can walk is because of a chiropractor. The reason why I'm alive is due to holistic nutrition. And the reason why we were able to help hundreds of people from all over the world in the middle of the crazy pandemic is due to a technology I developed to help my father while he was hospitalized during the pandemic, called quantum nutrition testing. And so we utilize that in my practice in Central Florida. We service patients and clients from all over the world. And now I teach that to other practitioners to help them with their patients, whether it's IBS, ulcerative colitis, long haulers, COVID, vaccine damage, female issues, male issues, infertility. We handle it all because we're looking for the cause of the problem.
Oh, wow. So quantum nutrition testing has been transformative for so many. Could you explain how this technology works and how it's different from traditional approaches to health?
Yeah, absolutely. I was not looking at starting another technology. To answer your question, I have to give you a little bit of background. During the pandemic, my father had slipped and hit his head on his wooden nightstand. My mother called me up to evaluate him for a concussion. My bachelor's degree is in sports medicine. I worked college ice hockey. I worked Division I American football. I worked a lot of soccer, spent 30 years on sidelines. And so after working all those crazy sports, especially ice hockey, because those guys like to fight, you know, that being in Canada, that's like your sport of your country.
Right.
I was really good at evaluating concussion. And so I evaluated my father to see if there was any signs of concussion. There were not any. But 48 hours later, the left side of his face, his left arm, and his left leg stopped functioning. And I told my mother, I go, the hospitals here in the United States were on lockdown, meaning they were closed unless you were like almost dead. If you were close to dead or still breathing and kind of functioning, they were sending you home. And so luckily our governor was a little bit more lenient on certain things, but there was no visitation in hospitals. We knew if we took him to the hospital, we may never see him again. And I know a lot of people during that time went through really, really rough, intense stuff. Long story short, mid-hospital stay is when he was in the hospital by himself. We were not allowed to visit him. He was in a lot of pain. They had moved him from one room to the other room, but they forgot to plug in his call button. They forgot to plug in his vitals. The nurse must have been in a hurry and just kind of moved his room, but didn't plug in anything for him to be monitored from a health standpoint or to be able to reach the nurse. And so he was trying to hit the call button and he didn't have any result with that. And so the next part of the story depends on your viewpoint. And so some people explain what I'm about to say as angelic. Some people say it's a God thing. Some people think it's or say it's a universal thing or I don't know, a quantum thing, really. And so what happened was I was at my house. I woke up having an understanding that my father was in pain. And I knew he was in pain. I didn't know how I knew. And so I was like, thinking like, Dad, okay, you're at the hospital, just hit the call button and they'll come help you. And I kept getting the message, I'm in pain, help me. And so before I developed quantum nutrition testing, I did other forms of muscle testing and you always needed a patient's arm to push on. And so I didn't have anybody's arm to push on because my father was in the hospital. And so I put my thumb and index finger together and figured out how to test him utilizing the method we call quantum nutrition testing. Found out that he was having issues with his bladder. He loves to make kidney stones, but unfortunately, a kidney stone can obstruct that whole pathway, and he wasn't able to use the restroom, causing the intense pain. And I figured out the cause. I figured out what supplementation would help him, and also to break down the stone, and then also the dose. Thought that was really interesting and went back to sleep. The next morning, my mother called me and she said, Lisa, the craziest thing happened to your dad last night. He was in a lot of pain. I didn't tell her the story I just told you. He was in a lot of pain. He tried to hit the call button, but the call button wasn't connected. Nothing was connected, and he had no way of getting the nurses to help him. So he called 911. He called emergency services, that called the dispatcher, called the hospital, called the nurse on the floor, finally got a hold of him, finally went to see what was happening. They catheterized him and handled the problem, but never found the cause. I then explained to my mom what I just explained to you guys. I was like, well, hey, I was able to test him, and this is what I found. And we decided that, you know, in the hospital, they don't feed you food, they feed you pudding and jello and muffins and junk. So my mom was bringing him real healthy food like chicken soup and organic Greek yogurt and, you know, healing foods. And so we started putting specific supplementation in his food to help him with his issues. And that's how quantum nutrition testing came to be.
Wow. It's I'm always so fascinated when life is given a roadblock and then you are given these signals to listen, and then something grows from something that you found as a roadblock, like a challenge. Like, so many people don't see these signs, or these little like glimmers of like, I need to listen to that, I need to do something with that. And then, you took it one step further and have developed this. Tell us about your website and what you're doing now, because it is a lot.
Yeah, thanks. So this was, you know, the time period we were still able to practice in Florida, but we were seeing 600 patient visits a week.
Oh my,
Everything shut down. It went down to 100, you know, and I didn't want to fire the staff. That's like my family. My
yeah.
daughter, you know, thinks all my practitioners are like her extended aunts and uncles and that kind of thing. And we wanted to still be able to service our patients. My husband has his own podcast called Brave TV, and he kind of mentioned on a side note, hey, if you can't get to your doctor, or if you guys are in a bad way because of what's happening in the pandemic, give our office a call. And in 48 hours, 350 new patients reached out to us for help.
Oh.
And so so I don't know about you. I thought it sounds really silly now, but I thought the pandemic would be like, I don't know, a month, maybe a couple weeks, maybe a couple months. You know, I didn't expect it to be years.
You know what, Dr. Palmer? I was a travel agent before the pandemic, and when the world was shutting down, I would tell my customers traveling, like, "Oh, it'll be over. This is my third pandemic. Like, it'll be fine." Oh, how we all were wrong.
Oh, so wrong. And
Yeah.
yeah, what
Yeah.
a insane time. And so I was like, okay, well, we'll start telehealth because we weren't offering telehealth before. Well, we'll do telehealth. You know, we're a big holistic nutrition office. I teach for many supplement companies and give people data on that. So I was like, okay, I can put programs together to boost the immune system and handle whatever they need help with. And so we started doing that. But then I realized, just thinking, because most doctors, they hear your symptoms, they say, okay, well, what you're saying with this set of symptoms, we're going to diagnose it with this word. And then if it's a medical doctor, you know, they're going to throw some medication at it and just kind of see what suppresses the symptom. They're not always looking for the cause. And it's not anything against the medical profession, because the reason I'm alive is I was an emergency C-section baby. Nothing against them. It's just, I think it's frustrating that they have difficulty finding the cause.
I agree.
And so I'm like, well, if I can use this technology to help my father in the hospital, what if I used it for these people that were doing with telehealth? And so we started doing it, and we called the technique quantum nutrition testing because it's based on quantum physics. I taught my associate practitioners how to utilize the technology. And then because we started getting amazing results, applying the technology and having people reverse conditions, we're not treating or curing or anything like that, but rebalancing the body with this technology and whole food supplements, homeopathy, herbs, carbon technology, people were getting better. And then I was getting phone calls for people wanting to learn. They're like, hey, can you teach me how to do this? And I'm like, oh yeah, sure. I'll just make an online course, thinking it's like the side project. I'll just make an online course and I'll be done and they can watch the videos and whatever. And then I realized, okay, well, not everything's going to fit in an online course and they really need hands-on. So I started teaching a 2-day hands-on in Florida. And then I realized not all the data is going to fit in that. So then I need a level 2. And then I realized, well, there's other things that we didn't talk about in level 2, because I tried to like put everything in the first level. So then there became a level 3. And then my dog and cat, people that love our furry family members. So like, but what about dogs and cats? I'm like, okay, so we have community for pets. But then I realized even with 3 levels, there's still amazing information to share, like the Nikki technology, and put together our December end of the year, the ultimate healthcare conference, Quantum Leap into Health.
Yes, we're so excited. That's a lot. That's so,
That's over 2 years.
that's insane. I was thinking that was like your whole career, but
No.
Hey guys, I wanted to tell you a little bit about my favorite and probably my most impactful frequency that I use on the Nikki. If you've never seen this before, it looks like a little watch, but it's actually a frequency device with a bunch of different frequencies. It's bioenergetic, so it has this little frequency light situation that goes into your arm, and it pretty much makes an immediate difference. But my personal favorite frequency is the insomnia one. If you know me, you know I don't sleep at night. I'm known for like those middle of the night texts and random thoughts, and I have been that way my whole life, not just since I got sick with tick-borne illness. But the Nikki nighttime and or insomnia frequency is basically programmed to work with your body's natural resources to get you to go to sleep and get you set for nighttime. It helps with cellular repair and detoxification overnight, which is super, super important for everyone, but especially with people with Lyme and tick-borne illness like me. So I just wanted to kind of demystify it and share a little bit about it. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Bye.
Nikki puts a personal wellness center in your hands and on your wrist. Be better, do better. We are Nikki.com.
Welcome back to Bioenergetics Beat. One of the things that I learned and what I've learned recently is before I started working with We Are Nikki, it was you took the information from your doctor and then you went away and you took your narcotics, you took your pain, you took your this. Like, recently I've started to get migraines and I've never had migraines in my life and I've had one. And so I go to my doctor and her first response is, I'm going to give you this medicine. I said, no. I said, I would like to, what can I do as something else? Because I'm like, to all of a sudden at 47 start getting migraines. Like, why am I starting to get migraines? Like, I've never had them before. And so I spoke to one of the practitioners we work closely with and I'm like, do you have any ideas? And he's like, you know what, let's try this supplement. It's like game changer. And I'm like, and it's just a supplement. And it's one thing that's so important, I think, that I'm learning since I've started here is some things that seem very woo-woo. Like, I remember when I started, I thought everyone was crazy. And I'm like, how are lights supposed to help me? Like, this makes no sense to me. Third day, I'm crying in my boss's office because all of a sudden I've slept. After 3 weeks, I was off my pain medicines. And I'm like, wow, there's something to this. And so
Absolutely.
I've learned, like, the biggest lesson I've learned is there's a space for, medicine, but there's also spaces for alternatives. And, for my migraines, it was something as simple as I was missing 3 essential nutrients in my system. And it's like, oh, and now they're gone. And I was like, you know what? That is a heck of a lot better than taking pain pills and what they wanted. They basically were like, here's your pills for, and I'm like, there has to be a different way. And so the fact that, is your dad doing good now?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. Unfortunately, big pharma rules medicine, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day, medical schools were homeopathy, and so then certain families got involved and started pushing pharmaceutical drugs, and then unfortunately, you're absolutely right. The side effect of migraine medications is migraines and headaches, and so it's not fixing the cause, and it could
Yeah.
be even making it worse. And what we Yeah, what we see with quantum nutrition testing, there's two things that's super common in migraines. The first is hormonal changes, right? And so the medical profession will say, okay, well, here, take your migraine meds, and then you're getting into this other phase of life, and so we'll put you on hormones, which, by the way, are also medications and also have side effects and can cause cancer for the rest of your life, right? Because you're getting in a different phase of life. And so instead, we look at if there is a hormone imbalance, we look for why, right? So you can get migraine headaches from imbalanced hormones. So is it due to a chemical exposure or a mold exposure? And very, very frequently, we find little critters irritating the neurology, and we find parasites. And so that can cause migraines as well. So with my father's case, yes, he's doing well. I'd love to say that he got out of the hospital and everything was perfect. But unfortunately, last year he was having shortness of breath. And so we were working with him with the quantum nutrition testing and found the cause was mold in his lungs. So everything has a cause, right? And so what ended up happening is there was a pipe underneath his kitchen, and it was basically deteriorating, was falling apart and causing moisture to come up through the slab and so on. And he was inhaling mold. I'd always go to his house and just feel tired and just feel like I just didn't feel good in their house. And I just figured, oh, well, I must be tired. You make all the excuses, right? Like, oh, it must be just tired from the week or this and this and this, whatever. And so he started having shortness of breath. I told my mother, hey, there's mold in there, but obviously if oxygen levels dip, then that is the time. If it's an emergency, then that is the time to take him to the emergency room. And so she ended up taking him to the emergency room because his oxygen levels were dipping. And the ER doctor on staff told the nurse to give him fluids because, if he's geriatric, he must be dehydrated. So they gave him fluids, but with the older population, you have to do that in a certain way and not too quickly. Well, the nurse did it too quickly and it ended up flooding his lungs. And so he was suffocating while he was conscious. I think what saved him was all the nutrition work we've done up to that point, but also my father, we're from South Florida, and my father was an avid scuba diver. So in scuba diving, if you're deep in the water and you have problems with your air, you can't panic. You have to get your other spare oxygen tank, or you have to buddy breathe with a friend, but you can't just freak out and come to the top because you can have the bends and you can die from that. And so he was able, as a former scuba diver, to manage his breath, but the stress of basically drowning while you're alive or you're conscious triggered a heart attack. And so then he was in the hospital for about a month with various different cardiac procedures. I remember at one point they were gonna see what they wanted to do. They were debating on a pacemaker versus a defibrillator versus. They're like, well, we can put your father on the medication. Do you remember the movie E.T.? And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, do you remember the medication they gave E.T.? I'm like, no. And he's like, well, it's an old medication, but we still have it in the refrigerators downstairs. And if this procedure doesn't work, we could try that medication. What do you think? And I'm like, dude,
I think it's a no.
Yeah, I'm a holistic doctor. I'm a doctor of chiropractic. I have additional studies in sports chiropractic and nutrition and so on, but I'm not a cardiac surgeon. And he's asking me what I think.
Oh, that's terrifying.
It was terrifying. It was absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So thank you for asking. He is doing much, much better, but wow. And it was, again, one of those moments where I realized in level 3, there's a lot of docs that'll focus on, or practitioners that focus on, they get a new patient, they're looking for the cause of problems, right? They're trying to fix the cause. And then throughout the care, they might get better, they might get worse. Level 2, we talk about why that happens. And then they start doing pretty good. And then what happens to that client is they say, oh, thanks, Miriam. I'm going to take a break. I'm doing good now. Right. But the practitioner really never gets to work on prevention. And so level 3 is cardiac prevention. So what are we going to do to decrease the inflammation in the cardiovascular system? What are we going to do to decrease the negative effect of exposure of spike proteins? What are we going to do to prevent strokes? What are we going to do to handle old brain injuries, traumatic brain injuries like whiplashes from cars or slips and falls? Or concussions from sports or crazy ice hockey fights, right? What are we gonna
And when
Yeah,
you
what do
look,
we do?
yeah, like, and when you look at how long trauma is stored in the body, like I remember I got in a car accident like years and years and years ago. And then like about 2 years later, I started to have back problems. And my doctor's like, well, when did you get in your car accident? I was like, oh, it was like a couple of years ago. It wasn't very big. He's like, oh, this is from that accident. And I'm like, how does that happen? Like, shows up like several years later when you're not expecting it. And I find I always like, I'll use myself as an example because like when I was really sick for several years, and I always said, like, your health is like, it was a house of cards built on sand. And one card would slip and then it would all come crumbling down. And it's so easy to, when you start something new, like sometimes you feel really yucky and you have the Herxheimer reactions. And like you'll like, even the other day I did it to myself where I was like, oh, like my migraines are better, I'm going to stop taking my supplement. And then what happens? They come back. And so it's like, I keep having to tell myself, like, even though you're feeling better, you still have to take this because you want to prevent it from coming again, like, in a couple months. And then you get back into those cycles of where all your symptoms are back. And then you're having this problem. And then you're upset, like, whether it's the practitioner or whatever. But it's like, it's an ongoing process that you have to keep working at. And I'm not like, I'm sure with you find it where people have been sick for so long that they want to get better right then and there. And it's your health is a whole umbrella that you have to look at, right? It's nutrition, there's so much involved. And we find that with the We Are Nikki technology is people will purchase and like 3 days later, like, well, I'm not noticing a difference. And it's like it takes a lot of time to like undo the damage that your body has had happen to it.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. You have to think about the air we breathe is polluted, the water we drink is polluted, the food we eat is
Yeah,
polluted, and
yeah,
then whatever exposures were injected into people's bloodstreams, that has a negative effect linked
yeah,
to, childhood allergies, infertility, chronic disease.
yeah.
It's just it's a problem. And so for us, we're teaching patients on not diets because no one wants to be on a diet, but what foods work best for them. We're teaching them on how to handle stress.
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
with a lot of adults, I'm like, when was the last time you did something fun? I'm down here at Naples, promoting Quantum Leap, Naples, Florida. Outside this window is a beautiful beach, and downstairs they're like, well, do you think that you'll be in the beach cabanas today? And I'm like, no, but I really like to. And I thought, okay, I need to take my own advice and at least walk down there, put my toes in the sand. But I think as adults, as we just get busy, we take care of everybody else, maybe older parents,
Yeah.
children, whoever, and we don't plan fun stuff. So sometimes with patients, I'm like, okay, what are you going to do today for yourself? What are you going to do today or this week for fun? What are you going to do to move your body? And they're like, oh, okay. And we give them homework and that's their homework. Like, go do something fun. What are you going to do that's fun? Oh, I'm going to go this weekend in my area, there's a awesome arts festival. And so I think it's a really special thing to see what people create, whether it's painting or ceramics or whatever. And I think that's really cool. And you walk around the arts festival and get to see art, and it's awesome.
It's really neat. We've started that. You're at work and we're a wellness company. And one day, like I looked around and we were all just kind of like going through a lot and we seemed really unhappy. And I'm like, how can a wellness company be unhappy? Like, why do we have so much stress? So I started this little thing and I call it our Fun Friday. And we all pick a song that really resonates with us. So every Friday morning we come in, everyone sends me their song, and we talk about why we picked that song. We listen to it all together, and it really gives us like a 30 to 45-minute break where you're with your team, but you're doing something fun because, you know, work's hard. And I know it's probably a challenge for you. Like, you are a very busy person. And, it's finding those moments like, you know what, Dr. Palmer, go and put your feet in the sand today. And because it's beautiful in Florida. And, we had a windstorm here on Vancouver Island, and I would go and put my feet in the sand, but everything's just, it's like branches are everywhere. Um,
Oh,
but it's so important to find those moments and like creative, like going to that market to look at what people are creating. Like, when I'm a quilter, and so when people are selling at these markets, like you're buying a part of that person, like while they're making that, they're happy because it's something that they enjoy. And I think it's so great to actually support those type of artisans, and it's so fun. And it's coming up to the Christmas season, and so it's nice to take a break from our busyness. How do you actually prioritize putting your health first? Because you seem very busy.
Yeah, well, I didn't, I didn't prioritize my own health. And so I was a high school, college, and professional athlete. And my belief, my definition of health back then was if you look good on the outside, right? If you were trim and were fit, then that was the definition of healthy. And so I ate healthy, just like all my patients tell me they eat healthy. But then on the weekends I'd have a pizza or I'd drink alcohol or whatever. And then when I first started my natural practice, my chiropractic practice in Central Florida, I'm not from Central Florida. I'm from Miami. And so it's not like working for a hospital where you have patients given to you. You have to do marketing and you have to be an entrepreneur. And so I was working at a restaurant, I was working at a gym, I was working at my office, and then I was also taking care of a semi-pro and professional soccer team. And my belief was the harder you work, the more successful you'll be. And I didn't take care of myself. I was drinking lots and lots of caffeine. I was still drinking alcohol. I was an alcoholic or anything like that, but I was burning the candle. That was the epitome of 7 days a week, full time, burning the candle at both ends. I would open the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning, work the 6 o'clock to 10 a.m. ish shift, go see patients, then close down the restaurant. Or I would open the restaurant, go see patients, close down the gym. And I did that pretty much 7 days a week. And what that resulted in was me losing my health, but really doing, like people say, like, I lost my gallbladder. Really? Like, did you misplace it? Like, I hate that saying. I lost my uterus. You lost it? Like, I don't understand it. Is it under, like, do you need to look under your desk? And so what ended up happening was I kept pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And then one day I woke up and I got in the shower to get ready to see patients, and I was super, super dizzy. I thought I was going to faint in the shower. And so I was like, well, I can't faint in the shower because if I faint in the shower, I'm going to hit my head and, there's going to be even more problems. So I crawled out of the showers because I couldn't stand, and I had shampoo in my hair. I'm all dripping wet and I'm crawling on tile to my bed. And I told my husband, I said, look, something's really wrong with me. I'm super dizzy. I'm super dizzy. I feel like I'm going to pass out. And he's like, well, just rest. Maybe it's the flu. Maybe it's whatever. Just rest. But I was laying in bed and the whole room was spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. And after multiple days like that, I asked my husband to take me to the emergency room. And I don't like emergency rooms. I don't like my blood drawn. I don't like hospitals. I don't like the smell of hospitals. I don't like general physicians as far as their process. Like, that is not, like, some people don't care. I absolutely do not like it one bit. And so he knew if I was asking to go there, that I was in bad shape. And I was. So he ended up taking me to urgent care. And the urgent care doc took a look at me. He's like, yeah, I can see that you look really dizzy, because I'd have to hold on to my husband to walk because it felt like the earth was not balanced when I was walking. I couldn't sit like how I am now. I had to lay down because everything was spinning. It was pretty awful. I don't know if you've ever had vertigo before. Yeah, it's not fun.
I did have a friend that had it, and we were on this breakaway. We have a lot of cruise ships that come into here in Victoria, BC, and we have this causeway, and it's this walkway that you go out into the middle of the ocean where the cruise ships dock to break the waves. And he didn't know he had vertigo until he got to the end, and he had to crawl back to the beginning because he couldn't walk. And it was insane to see somebody have that reaction, and it's so like unalarming to somebody witnessing. And I can't imagine how that would have been for you, and that must have been very scary.
It was really scary. I actually thought I was dying. I felt that bad. And so I went to this urgent care doctor, and he checked my blood pressure, and he, checked my vitals, and he looked at some stuff, and he couldn't find anything wrong with me on paper. And so then he proceeded to tell me that he thought that I was stressed. I mean, I've never had a patient that came into me and said, I feel amazing, or I have explosive diarrhea, but I'm happy, like, of course everybody's stressed that has a problem. That'd be crazy if they came in like that. And he goes, well, I think you're stressed, so I'm going to prescribe you an anti-dizziness medication. And then, maybe it's like he was trying to say it was all in my head. And I was like, and then I got upset with him. I said, look, doc, doctor to doctor, just because you can't find the cause of my problems doesn't mean that I'm crazy. It just means you can't physically locate it. He gave me a prescription for this medication. I don't take medications. The last medication I took that was prescription was when I was 16 years old, and I had teeth pulled because they were afraid I still had baby teeth, and they gave me an antibiotic. I haven't had an antibiotic since. And so I filled the prescription. I didn't even know if my insurance covered the prescription. I didn't even know if I had that on my health insurance, because our healthcare system in the States is a little bit different than you guys. And I stood at the pharmacy counter and I was embarrassed. I'm a holistic doctor. We don't do medications. We try to help people reduce their medications or help that they don't need them anymore. And so I filled the prescription. I took it for a couple days. It didn't work, never found the cause. But yet I'm still, at this moment, I'm still in bed 24/7 with the room spinning. And so I said a prayer and I was like, God, like, if this is what my life's going to be like, and this is very dramatic, so I'll just let you know, this is what my life's going to be like, like, I don't know, shoot lightning down and like, I don't want to do this. And the message I got back, and this is going to sound kind of horrible when I explain it, so bear with me. The message I got back is you have to tell your patients the truth about healthcare. And what that meant at that point was my practice was all professional athletes. I was working with professional soccer players and women's soccer players and college athletes and so on. And if someone wasn't an athlete, and if they were diabetic, or if they had high blood pressure, or if they were overweight, my viewpoint back then, not now, but my viewpoint back then was kind of a waste of my time. And I don't have time for you because I was on track to work, professional athletes and an Olympics. And so it was kind of a rude awakening for me in the fact that I was like, okay, so you do want me to educate on diabetes. I thought diabetes was the medical doctor's job. I thought that any weird condition wasn't my responsibility in natural healthcare, that I just was going to work on sports performance. And so I made that promise, and every single week since then, that was in 2000, I believe that was 2000, let's see, 2007. Every single week since then, I've educated on how the body can heal, how we can help with the person with the high blood pressure or the high blood sugar or so on. So I kept my promise, found out about holistic nutrition, found the cause of my problem, which was crazy, was I had a heavy metal toxicity in my pituitary gland.
Interesting. Those heavy metals.
Yep. And so that heavy metal, through the testing, we found out it was mercury. And people asked, like, do you have silver fillings? I don't have mercury silver fillings. I never have. Yes, I was vaccinated, not 98 shots like they do now. Maybe 7 shots. I don't know. My mom doesn't remember. Yes, I grew up in Miami and I ate seafood. So they say you can get mercury from fish, perhaps high fructose corn syrup, but the mercury was causing my pituitary gland not to function properly, which was causing me to lose, my hair was falling out. It was causing me to gain a whole bunch of weight, even though I was still playing soccer and working out in the gym. And I had a personal trainer that was kicking my butt, and I just kept getting heavier and heavier. I was exhausted and I had the dizziness. And so the moment we found the cause of the problem through the nutrition work that we do, handled it nutritionally, detoxed it nutritionally. And by detox, I don't mean pooping and puking. I mean, helping the body eliminate that mercury safely and replacing the bad metal mercury with good metals, minerals. 50 pounds melted off my 5'4" frame. And an extra 50 pounds on a frame like mine is a lot of extra. It's like carrying a big dog food bag on your shoulder, Yeah. And everything changed. And that's when I changed my focus from sports chiropractic into the nutrition world.
That's amazing. What a journey. Wow.
Yeah.
I was like, we're supposed to go to a break, but I was so interested in your story.
That's okay.
I was like, wow, that's incredible.
My Nikki helps me sleep better at night and helps me feel less stressed.
There's a new word for wellness, Nikki. Nikki, the bioenergetic wearable designed to help you feel better and perform better. Other wearables just track how you're doing. Nikki is about helping you do better. Touch the Nikki screen to choose the frequency you want for what you want to do and how you want to feel. Nikki puts a personal wellness center in your hands and on your wrist. Be better. Do better. We are Nikki.com.
Hey, I'm Steve. I'm an engineer, a biohacker, and a dad, and I love my Nikki. I use 3 different programs on this one mostly. In the mornings, I run Energy Boost, which honestly is about the equivalent of a cup of coffee. I still have my coffee, but this does make a difference. After work, I run my stress and anxiety program, and that takes me from being like, task mode from work to really kind of chilled out dad mode, which is nice. And occasionally when I need it, I run the pain program as well. I actually tore my ACL last September, middle of September, and I was running again by middle of October. No surgery, no therapy, just the pain program once a day. So I've worked with red light therapy for several years now, and like I said, this is just about my favorite because it is so easy to use. I just put it on my wrist in the morning, run it all day. Don't even notice it's there except for how I feel. So I love it.
Nikki puts a personal wellness center in your hands and on your wrist. Be better. Do better. We are Nikki.com.
Welcome back to Bioenergetics Beat. I'm thrilled to continue today's conversation with Dr. Lisa Palmer, the founder of Quantum Nutrition Testing and the visionary behind the Quantum Leap into Health event. Let's dive in and explore how this event is shaping the future of wellness.
Yes, so super excited to have Nikki Technology on board at our Ultimate Health Conference of the Year, Quantum Leap into Health 2024 in beautiful, sunny Orlando, Florida, December 13th through the 15th. The purpose of the conference is as a doc, especially as a younger doc starting out, I would see my colleagues that had been in practice longer and wonder what was like the secret sauce. What were they doing that was helping them with difficult cases, right? Because I think as a practitioner, one of the worst things, because you don't just pick natural healthcare, right? Like people in natural healthcare tend to have a mission. They're on purpose. They want to save the world. And so if we have like one case that isn't moving the right direction or one person that's not getting better, it's a big deal for us. And so I would see my colleagues and I'm like, what are they doing with this like interesting case? Or how are they hiring associates? Or what are they doing for marketing? Why, I wish they would just tell me, it would make things faster, And so I decided to put this conference together with the best of the best from all over the world to share what's working clinically in their own practices, to speak on what they're best at from a clinical standpoint, from a business standpoint. And then I think there's something really, really special, and we got away from this during the last couple of years. But I think there's something incredibly special about putting a group together in the same mission with the same purpose that can talk the talk and doesn't have to like edit their conversations because somebody thinks they're the black sheep of the family, right? Or they're the weird holistic practitioner, or the other person, like it's a group of your colleagues. It's a group of the people that completely understand you and you can speak freely and really make a change in healthcare. That's the biggest point. I have an 11-year-old daughter, and I see even some of the kids on her gymnastics team. I see what's happening in our society, and I'm extremely concerned that even over the last 20 years that I've been in practice, our healthcare, not only in the United States, but also in Canada and the rest of this planet, is going the wrong way. And I feel an obligation and a mission to not leave this mess and be like, okay, honey, here, this is what mommy and daddy did. Like we tried to make a difference, but we really didn't. And I kept waiting for someone else to make a conference like this. And then I decided, nope, I need to do it. And so there you go. That's Quantum Leap.
It's going to be, I was looking at the speakers the other day and I was like, this is You have amazing speakers that are coming. And what I think is really amazing about your event is, for example, like Nikki Wellness Technology. It's a hard thing to describe to people. Like when I started here, I'm like, how do you mean lights are going to help me? And what I find is when you're in that room, everyone has such a creative thinking that all of a sudden this technology is not weird. It's not like woo woo. It is everyone has such an open mind to everything that's presented at these events is what I have learned in the last, we've only been since I've been working here, we're just starting to go back to events because of the travel restrictions. And what I'm learning is when we're at these events and the people that we talk to, the people that we see, it's like they have an open mind already. And having the open mind, I find for some people is half the battle. You know, we had a situation where we have somebody on our team and her son was, you know, not doing very well. He had like a flu, and we're like, is he open to trying the Nikki technology? Because my mom was closed off to it, and then now she loves it. But it's having to have that, you know, the openness of, yeah, I'm going to give it a try. And you're trying to explain how it works, and it's like it communicates with your cells. And you know, when everyone's used to taking medicine, it's so, I'm sure from somebody from your standpoint, when you're in this the holistic area that you're in, you're up against, you know, the doctors and everything. And, you know, you guys are kind of put into this box of like, oh, well, those are the holistic practitioners. Then you go to an event and you're talking to like-minded people. Like it must be a very big, like breath of fresh air, literally.
Yeah, it's like a homecoming. And then,
Yeah.
you know, for the Nikki technology based on frequencies, we've been using frequencies for forever. So
Yeah.
I think that's why it's easier to explain it to a holistic practitioner. When you're talking about the medical industrial complex, you have to remember that the indoctrination started when that kid was born, right? And
Yeah.
so with little kid TV shows, I mean, I'm here at a hotel right now at a conference. I don't really watch TV. Well, we might find some funny movies to watch as a family, but we don't watch mainstream TV. So when I travel, I'll turn the TV on just to kind of see what's happening. And I shouldn't be shocked, but every single time I'm shocked about what is playing. You know, like last night it was like a show, and then it was a pharmaceutical ad, and then it was a show, and then it was pushing the COVID shot and the RSV shot. And the guy like went like this and showed his double band-aids. And I'm like, really? And then the next commercial was the same. Like 3 commercials in a row was pushing the same agenda. And so that's why I think it's difficult. Like they call us alternative to medicine. I don't want to be an alternative to medicine. You know, I want to be the healthcare because we're looking for the cause. We're looking for, is it due to mold toxicity or chemicals or metals or parasites or bacteria, or what is the cause? Let's handle the cause with things that build up the body instead of tear down the body, things that don't have side effects, and then rebalance the body. And then along the way, help the patient with, okay, what foods work best, lifestyle, and so on.
For Quantum Leap into Health, can anybody attend that show?
Yes, yes. So if you
Oh,
think, yeah, if you think natural
I thought it
healthcare
was
is
just for
cool,
practitioners.
no. So if you think
Oh,
natural health care
wow.
is cool, you are absolutely invited. And here's why. Um, the world is a mess. The world is a mess, right? And so I was just talking to a doc upstairs, and I was saying, hey, the time for natural health care is now. Like now is the time, especially with the changes happening in the US government, with them going after the 3-letter agencies like the FDA and the CDC and the NIH with Robert F. Kennedy. So the time is now for natural health care, but the problem that I see, like everything's getting set up in a very good way. But what I'm seeing is if that practitioner doesn't know how to run their practice, or if the practitioner is having difficulty with clinical results, if the practitioner is afraid to speak their truth, and that's part of the theme of the conference is speaking the truth about what's happening, right? Then their practice is going to stay small. The medical community is going to say, oh, people think natural health care is cool now. So we're going to switch our gears, and they're going to run us over with like pseudo natural health care, if you will. So if someone, you know, that the concerned mom, that concerned parent, that person that thinks natural health care is health care, they're absolutely invited.
That's really exciting. I know there's a lot of people I know that we deal with because they're, you know, just being able to be in the room that people are looking for a solution, they're looking for education, they're looking for information. And sometimes the information that they're trying to find is very difficult to find, or they're given information that might not be the best information for them. So I'm really excited that anybody can go now. Now I was like, oh, I should have told Steven I would go to the show with them.
You still can. You still can. You can change it. You can
Like,
always change
I
mine,
I
right?
need some time off in December. Sorry, Steven.
Sunny Florida in December. Let me tell you, Florida in December is beautiful. Like, I don't know if you can see this window, but it's like bright and sunny and
Oh,
blue skies and beautiful and warm enough right now still for the beach. Although you're Canadian, so in December it'll still be warm enough for you for the beach. I
yeah,
won't be at the beach then, but you could
yeah,
be at the beach
yeah.
then because it's like your
Oh,
summer.
it's so exciting. It's really
But yeah,
exciting.
would love everybody on the show. You guys are personally invited by myself to attend. We still do have tickets available. We do plan on selling out. Our VIP tickets are gone, but we do have our silver access tickets and we do have our general admission. So silver access is meant more for the practitioners that want the presentations from the speakers. They want more of the in-depth information. And then general admission is meant for the person who thinks that natural health care is cool, the concerned mom, the freedom advocate, the person who would really like the information but doesn't necessarily have patients or clients.
Nice. We'll put the link to Quantum Leap into Health into the show notes. So where can people find the information for your Quantum Nutrition Academy if they are
Yeah,
interested?
absolutely. So people ask me, Dr. Palmer, I think this quantum nutrition testing is really awesome. I want to incorporate it in my practice, or I want to, use it as a tool to help my clients. You can go to QN, as N is in nutrition, QNTacademy.com. And you can learn in the academy. So there is a monthly membership, and I'll teach you how to do the quantum nutrition technology. I'll teach you how to handle mold illness, parasites, chemicals, metal detox, female health, how to balance out female health, male health, children's health, so many topics. And that membership is a monthly membership. There's hundreds of hours of content on that site to learn how to help people naturally.
Amazing. That's amazing. Okay. Visit wearenikki.com to enter to win your own Nikki Wellness technology along with the Wellness Suite, valued at $598 USD. So thank you so much for joining us today on Bioenergetics Beat. Huge thank you to Dr. Lisa Palmer for sharing her incredible insights and giving us a glimpse into the transformative Quantum Leap into Health event. Remember, this is a chance to take your wellness journey to the next level, so don't miss it. As always, thank you for tuning in, and be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with anyone who could benefit from these life-changing insights. Until next time, stay well and stay empowered and keep embracing the energy of transformation. See you soon. That was so much fun, Dr. Palmer.
Hey, it's Cam here, and I just want to take a few minutes and talk about my experience with this new device I just got. It's called a Nikki. I've never heard of this, but it actually helps you via frequencies. And the cool thing is that each frequency helps for different outcomes or different reliefs. So there's a sleep mode. When I go mountain biking, I throw it on energy booster. Once I'm done mountain biking, I actually switch it to the other mode they have is pain and relief. Anytime after a hard workout, put it on. I'm confident this thing is really going to work based off of what I'm hearing, based off what I'm feeling. So I think the website is We Are Nikki. Really affordable for what this thing is. Nice and sleek. Check it out, We Are Nikki. I've been loving it so far.
Nikki puts a personal wellness center in your hands and on your wrist. Be better. Do better. wearenikki.com.
For someone thinking of purchasing a device, what advice would you give them?
Do it. Just do it. It's I really have explored so many way between essential oils. I mean, much of what the speaker said tonight, it's been my journey through the years. This is by far the quickest, the most painless. It's just really, for me, it was a synchronistic meeting, and I ended up being blessed with the device. So I feel that, universe is saying, we want you around for a while.
Nikki puts a personal wellness center in your hands and on your wrist. Be better. Do better. wearenikki.com.
The views, information, and opinions expressed in this content are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of Freemedica. Freemedica Technologies, Inc. and its employees are not responsible, nor verifies accuracy any of the information contained in the following content. The primary purpose of this content is to educate and inform. This content does not constitute medical or other professional advice or services.